Dallas Cowboys have made a lot of moves this offseason by bringing in a brand new head coach and the same with their defensive coordinator. But will it be enough to help them contend in the NFC East division with the Washington Commanders, Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants? We're going to cover everything the Dallas Cowboys did in free agency, mixed in with the NFL draft, and why I do believe that they have had a slept-on offseason this year. The first move I want to talk about is the George Pickens trade. George Pickens is a phenomenal talent. In my opinion, he's a number one wide receiver. That may be a bit of a controversial take, but just hear me out for a second. We've seen George Pickens in the past have over 1,000 receiving yards. Look at the quarterbacks that he's played with. Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. Those are not good starting quarterback options, but yet George Pickens was able to go out there, take the top off the defense, and be the best offensive player for the Steelers in 2023. When he had 63 catches, 1,140 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. In his last season with the Steelers, 900 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. He did get to play with Justin Fields and the same with Russell Wilson. He would have easily had over 1,000 receiving yards if it wasn't for the hamstring injury. He was by far their best wide receiver. The talent is amazing. The only problem with George Pickens, he's in the last year of his deal, and you trade a third-round pick to bring him in. They're not going to extend him right now at this current moment, but they'll look into re-signing him for this upcoming offseason. So we'll see if they can figure out things on that front. Hopefully they do. This is a huge boomer bust situation with the Cowboys, considering the fact that George Pickens off the field can be a headache. Now, he's not going out there and he's not causing any crime. He's not yelling at people. He's not doing things like that outside of football. A lot of his problems are on the sideline. All the reports came out that he's late for games. The Christmas Day game against the Chiefs, that he was 90 minutes late to the game. Right before it was kickoff time, that's when he shows up. He'll take some plays off. He'll have some major drops. You can critique him in that way, and that's fair. But at the same time, he's never played in an offense like this before. A lot of people, they look at the Steelers and they say, hey, they're historically great. They have a great offense. They haven't had a great offense in a very long time. You put George Pickens within structure, playing alongside CeeDee Lamb. This is the best wide receiver that he's going to play alongside in his short career. And Dak Prescott is the best quarterback that he's going to play with up to this point. No offense to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than both of those players. And I know for sure he's a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky, the same with Mason Rudolph and with Kenny Pickett. So don't be surprised if George Pickens goes out there and he has over 1,000 receiving yards and he looks like a true number one wide receiver in this system. In my opinion, he already is. And it feels a huge need for the Cowboys. They have been looking for a true number one to play alongside CeeDee Lamb, who is the number one wide receiver in his own right since Amari Cooper. They have struggled to find a counterpart alongside CeeDee Lamb for many years now. They tried with Jalen Tolbert. He's more so of a number 3 wide receiver. He can have some good moments every now and then as a number 2. It's just not consistent enough. They made the trade to bring in Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks was very shaky with the Cowboys. The chemistry took some time to build with Dak Prescott and was still an awkward fit. They were looking for a deep threat down the field. That's why they brought in T.Y. Hilton a couple of years ago to play against the San Francisco 49ers in that playoff game. But you're bringing in a young player that's 24 years old. All you have to do is keep him in the game. Make sure he doesn't take those plays off. The maturity is a huge issue. I'm not going to run away from that. But if you give him the ball, we've seen this with the Steelers. He'll zone in and he has incredible talent. And when you look at CeeDee Lamb playing inside that slot, it now puts the defense in an awkward situation. You just can't put roll coverage on CeeDee Lamb the entire game because George Pickens can win those one-on-one battles on the outside. And then you have Jalen Tolbert who can come in, give you good production, and you have Kevontae Turpin. I may be on an island by myself. I look at Kevontae Turpin. He's an elite special teams player. But if you give him the opportunities as a wide receiver, he can make some special plays. We have seen this in the past against the Houston Texans. He's not consistent in terms of being a number 2 wide receiver every single week, but he doesn't have to be. You can give him the football on jet sweeps. Just run tunnel screens with him because he's so creative in the open field with the football in his hands. And then you have Jake Ferguson at the tight end position. We've seen him in the past where he looks like a very good receiving tight end. Last season was derailed with injuries. This team got bit with the injury bug. But we look at this offense right now. They're solid at the skill position. Just adding in George Pickens adds in a huge wrinkle to this offense, and it comes down to Coach Schottenheimer. Now, Coach Schottenheimer has never called offensive plays before with the Dallas Cowboys. He has in the past with the Seattle Seahawks, and this hiring does bother me just a little bit. I don't know how he's going to look as a head coach with this organization. We've seen head coaches come out before and they say, hey, we're going to run the football as much as possible. Mike McCarthy said that. He went to Jerry Jones and he told him that to his face. That is what essentially got Kellen Moore fired, only for Dak Prescott to throw the football at a higher amount with Mike McCarthy than he ever did with Kellen Moore. They have to have a balanced attack with this offense. It's okay to go out there and ask Dak Prescott to throw the football 30 times a game. And in certain moments, he may have to throw the football 35 times a game. Depends on the defense can get major stops or not. But this should not be the formula every single week. Dak Prescott is still at his best when he can hand the football off and work off of play action. And history shows this. When he can hand the football off to a very good running back in Ezekiel Elliott in his prime. Not Ezekiel Elliott last year, who was on his last leg. We've seen this with Tony Pollard as well. That's when Dak Prescott can really get things going, when he's more so a secondary option in certain games. Dak Prescott can be that clutch quarterback, but not every single week. You're asking a lot of him. And my fear is the fact that Jerry Jones is paying him the $60 million a year. He may view him on the same level as a top-end quarterback every single week. And that's going to be impossible for the Dallas Cowboys to replicate that success moving forward if they don't play complementary football. Now, what helps back up, what helps go against this argument is this. You did select Tyler Booker in the first round. Zach Martin did retire. The injury started to hit him last season, and he wasn't the same player when he was fully healthy. He was still a very good guard. He's going to go down as one of the best offensive linemen in Cowboys history. But I look at Tyler Booker coming over from Alabama. Phenomenal pick. And I said this in my draft recap video. I love bringing in more offensive line help for your franchise quarterback. Now you have a young offensive line with Tyler Booker at the right guard position. Cooper Beebe, who was solid last year at the center position. He's entering year number 2. Tyler Smith, who was an all-pro at the left guard position. And you have Tyler Guyton. Tyler Guyton had an up and down rookie season. But we've seen this before with the Dallas Cowboys in the past. They can develop offensive linemen. So now you have an offensive line from the left tackle to the right guard position. These are young players that can grow together. And I look at Tyler Booker. He has potential to be one of the best guards in the NFL. He was phenomenal at Alabama and pass protection and also kicking out to the second level. And that should help out the run game. Last year, the run game was not consistent enough with the Cowboys. They asked Dak Prescott to do a lot, and it was hard for them to go out there and run the football. A lot of it was due to the offensive line not being consistent enough. The play calls not being the best with Mike McCarthy. Down the stretch, Rico did end up with over 1,000 yards rushing. But Rico is not a premier running back in the NFL. So it's a combination of two things. Your running back room was not good enough, and your offensive line adjustments weren't good enough either. But that's going to come with growing pains. Young players. But eventually, all of these players are going to grow together, and I hope that they can have a lot of success, similar to what the offensive line had many years ago with DeMarco Murray and the same with Ezekiel Elliott. When we look at running backs in the NFL, they always produce great numbers. I'm talking about running backs like Saquon, Derrick Henry. Part of the reason why they're phenomenal running backs, don't get me wrong, but the offensive line, they're opening up those rushing lanes for those backs to get to the second and third level, and then they let the running backs do the rest. You look at Javonte Williams, they picked him up in free agency. This is a cheap move here, but just because he's a cheaper option doesn't mean he's a bad player. This is not the same Javonte Williams 2 to 3 years ago before he tore his ACL. That Javonte Williams can make moves in space. He was phenomenal coming out of college. He's more so of a bruiser running back right now, and you need that in this division. We're talking about a division now that has the Washington Commanders. They were weak against the run last year, but their front seven, they're very solid. The Philadelphia Eagles, we know who they are. They want to go out there, stop the run, get to the quarterback. They want to play physical up front. And the New York Giants, they have Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, they're adding in Abdul Carter, and they have Dexter Lawrence. You can't sleep on that team and their front seven. So you have to get physical up front, and you need a running back that can get 2 to 3 yards after initial contact. And then they drafted Jaden Blue as well in the NFL draft. Now, where Javonte Williams lacks the explosiveness coming out of the backfield, Jaden Blue can put his toe into the ground, bounce out to the outside. He's a home run hitter. So now you're getting the best of both worlds at the running back position. This is a stronger running back room than last year. Rico, once again, not a bad player, but he's just an average running back, in my opinion, playing behind an offensive line. They were still trying to figure things out, and they were also aging before our eyes with Zach Martin. And you have Miles Sanders. I'm not as high on Miles Sanders as others may be. I look at him with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was in a great system then. Those are some of the best years in his career. He goes over to the Carolina Panthers, has dealt with injuries. He's a solid number 2, number 3 running back. The ideal situation here for the Cowboys is to have Javonte Williams be that bruiser and Jaden Blue come in and be that explosive running back. And I look at Dak Prescott here. They're giving you help. You have weapons now on the outside and on the interior of this offensive line, and the same with the skill position. They're going to need Dak Prescott to step up. And I feel like Dak Prescott gets a lot of hate, and I understand why. The lack of playoff success, but it's a team game. Dak Prescott is getting paid a lot of money, but let's not forget, just a couple of years ago in 2023, 36 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. In my opinion, he should have been an MVP candidate with how well he played in that system with Mike McCarthy. If Coach Schottenheimer can go out there and keep defenses honest, and he could be a very good play caller and be a very good head coach, I think things will be okay on the offensive end for the Dallas Cowboys. And I look at Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele, at this stage of his career, since he tore that ACL, he doesn't have the same impact that he once had. He's not a terrible tackle. He's not going to go out there and be one of the worst right tackles in the game. But he was definitely a better player before he tore his ACL. They need more consistency out of him on the outside. And hopefully adding in someone like Tyler Booker can help him go back to that next level. We'll see. But the offensive line, there's a lot of young pieces there. If they start off the season slow and they don't look too well, give it time. We've seen this with the Cowboys in the past. They rebuilt their offensive line. It took a couple of games. When they started going, that's when we started to see running backs go downhill like DeMarco Murray over and over again. But a lot of this comes down to Dak Prescott. Can he continue to take care of the football like how he did in 2023? Last year, he had a high interception rate for his standards. Dak Prescott has to be better. I'm not saying that he's blameless in this. And I look at Jerry Jones. The reason why I like this offseason over the other moves that he's made throughout the last couple of years, you didn't go out there and you didn't bring in players that were certified busts on other teams. You traded a draft pick for Trey Lance. Trey Lance was completely terrible. He couldn't even play in the regular season when Dak Prescott went down. This is a man that's a former first-round pick with the 49ers. You go out there and you trade for him. He couldn't even be your backup. He was your third string. He had 5 interceptions in a preseason game. That's how terrible Trey Lance was. So now Cooper Rush had to be your backup quarterback. Well, Cooper Rush is no longer here. You have a dart throw in Joe Milton. If Dak Prescott doesn't work out long term and you don't want to re-sign him to another contract, there's a lot of upside here with Joe Milton if you can develop him. He has a huge arm, great athleticism. And this is the one thing that we know about the Dallas Cowboys. They rarely spend first-round picks on quarterbacks. The one thing with Joe Milton, he has to work on his accuracy. But there was a lot of good things to like coming over from Tennessee. And we got to see him play a full game last year against the Buffalo Bills. It was their backups. But he went out there and he performed very well with his side, his speed, and the ability to move outside the pocket and throw on the run. There's a lot of upside here, and don't be surprised if he is the backup quarterback next year for Dak Prescott. I know that they have Will Grier as the third string. I doubt that he'll make the roster, but I look at Joe Milton. Don't be surprised if he comes in, if Dak Prescott goes down for a couple games and he looks very well. But they have to develop him behind the scenes here. So that's a trade that I really like. And you didn't trade a high draft pick for him. It's one of those situations. You bring in a player, it's a lot of upside. If it doesn't work out, hey, it didn't work out. And I look at the Jonathan Mingo situation. Jerry Jones went out there. He traded a mid-round pick to bring in Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo was not a good wide receiver on the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers at that point in time had a terrible wide receiving core. But yet he goes out there, he brings in Jonathan Mingo to possibly be the number 2 or number 3 wide receiver. He can't separate on the outside. So a lot of these trades, going out there and getting Joe Milton, getting George Pickens, it's a makeup trade for the misfires in the past by Jerry Jones. And for the people and for the ones that don't know, this is not a situation to where Jerry Jones is only the owner. He's the owner. He's a general manager. He meets with the coaches every single week. He's a full hands-on owner. So when he gets a lot of blame, it's rightfully so. When he gets a lot of credit, rightfully so. He controls everything with this organization. And I look at it from this standpoint, that can be a bad thing. He's done a lot of great things. He's done a lot of horrible things as well. I really wish that they did not trade for Jonathan Mingo. They could have easily used that draft pick to bring in a better player. And honestly, Jalen Tolbert and Devontae Turpin, they're just better players than Jonathan Mingo. Mingo had 17 catches for 167 receiving yards last season. That's with the Panthers and with the Dallas Cowboys. And you could say, well, he was playing with Cooper Rush down the stretch. They didn't give him many opportunities. They tried to put him on the field. It just didn't work out. But overall, I like this offseason on the offensive end by getting Tyler Booker in the first round, making that trade for George Pickens, and getting Jaden Blue as well late in the NFL draft. Those are good moves for the Cowboys and should help propel them forward in this division. And let's not forget, they did have 3 seasons in a row to where they ended up going 12-5. The talent is there. The culture just needs to be revamped. Hopefully, Coach Schottenheimer can do that for them. Now, when I look at this defense, their defense was up and down last year. They dealt with a lot of injuries. Micah Parsons missed time last year. DeMarvion Overshown came out, and he was one of the best linebackers on the team. Unfortunately, he went down with a knee injury. We'll see how much time he misses for this upcoming season. But when I look at Micah Parsons, every single year in his career, he's had double-digit sacks. He can get to the quarterback at a consistent rate. He's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They're going to re-sign him before the season starts. That is one thing that I know for sure. We saw this with Dak Prescott. We saw this with CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons is great. Jerry Jones is going to pay him a lot of money, and rightfully so. They just have to make sure that they go out there and they have to make sure that this deal works out for both sides here. It's going to be hard as hell to move forward because not only is Micah Parsons going to get paid, you need to go out there and you need to pay your star guard as well in Tyler Smith. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of these deals have to make sense long term. And when you're paying Tyler Smith, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott all of this money, I'm looking at Jake Ferguson. Will he be on this roster for the next couple of years at the tight end spot? And I know it's easy to go out there and draft a tight end in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. But Jake Ferguson, solid player. Depends on how much money he wants long term. But I look at Micah Parsons. That fit with him and Matt Eberflus should definitely work out. Matt Eberflus, as a head coach with the Bears, he was terrible. But as a defensive mind, he's solid. As a linebackers coach with the Colts, he performed very well. I like his defensive adjustments, even with the Chicago Bears. His offenses were terrible when he hired Luke Getsy, but he's not the head coach here. This is the perfect fit for him. It's for him to worry about defense and defense only. He can make those defensive adjustments, and he's had top rushing defenses before with the Chicago Bears. That's the one thing the Dallas Cowboys have struggled with for many years now, stopping the run against physical teams like the Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. You have Osa Odigizua, very good defensive tackle, can get to the quarterback at a consistent rate, very good run stopper. You have him there, and you have Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith has had a weird career so far with the Cowboys. His rookie season didn't do much. Last year, on the back end of the season, he started to play up to standards. This is a man that's a former first-round pick. They need to see more out of him. He needs to be a game wrecker. He doesn't need to be Aaron Donald. He doesn't need to be Cameron Hayward. He just needs to go out there, eat up double teams, stop the run, and free up pass rushers for everyone else. And that is what he was able to do on the back half of last season. So you have Osa Odigizua and Mozzie Smith. Those are 2 very good players in the interior of your defense. You're bringing back Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler last season with the Washington Commanders had 10.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. He should be very good playing alongside Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is going to see a lot of double teams, a lot of chip block action. That means that Dante Fowler is going to be in one-on-one situations. And Dante Fowler is not a bad player, but he works better in certain systems. With Dan Quinn, he was phenomenal in that system with the Cowboys. He was phenomenal in that system last season with the Commanders. He's not going to be a game wrecker like a Micah Parsons, and the same with Max Crosby and TJ Watt, but he doesn't have to be. Just play his role, get to the quarterback on a timely basis on 3rd down. So their defensive front, I like it. And you drafted Donovan Ezra-Raku as well. Donovan Ezra-Raku, in my opinion, should have been a 1st-round pick. This is a very good player coming over from Boston College. And when I look at Donovan Ezra-Raku and I look at what he was able to do at Boston College, he had a high pressure rate coming off the edge, and he was very good at stopping the run on a consistent basis. This is a player that feels a huge need with the Cowboys. You just lost DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, you did draft Marshawn Kneeland, but now you have depth behind Dante Fowler if he doesn't work out or if he needs a breather. You have Donovan Ezra-Raku. We'll see if DeMarvion Overshown can come back early next season. But that edge rushing group with Micah Parsons, Marshawn Kneeland, Donovan Ezra-Raku, and Dante Fowler, there's a lot of upside there, especially with Marshawn Kneeland. He got injured against the Steelers last year, hurt his knee. He never came back in the regular season. And there's a reason why they were high on him in rookie training camp with the moves he was able to make over the offseason. You give him a full offseason once again in year number 2 to fully develop with these players. The Dallas Cowboys could be cooking with something here. And once again, I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and win a Super Bowl. They're going to defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. But I will say this. They have had some close games with teams in this division when they've been fully healthy. They defeated the Washington Commanders last year, which was a crazy game to see. So once again, the talent is there, and they can draft very well. This is the same man that drafted CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. And speaking of drafting young players, their secondary has been a mess over the last couple of years. Not because of the talent being terrible, for the simple fact they can't stay healthy on the back end. Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL a couple of years ago. He was playing with a tear in his calf last year. Couldn't finish out the season. Trayvon Diggs is a very good cornerback. He's making a lot of money as well, and rightfully so. He's a very good number 1 cornerback with the Cowboys. And you have DaRon Bland. DaRon Bland missed time last season dealing with a foot injury. But this is one thing that we know about both of these cornerbacks. They can take the football away. They can go for pick sixes, especially DaRon Bland. He had a breakout year when Trayvon Diggs went down right before they played the Arizona Cardinals. DaRon Bland was phenomenal that year, but they need these guys to stay healthy. You did draft Siobhan, who was a very good player at East Carolina. The problem is this. He would have won in the first round. Donovan Ezra-Raku wasn't dealing with injuries. The reason why Siobhan didn't go in the first round, he's coming off a torn ACL injury. And you worry about that. You worry about this player that you drafted coming out of college. He's already dealing with a knee injury. And usually that's a 50-50 type of situation. If he comes in, he can stay fully healthy. That's a very good cornerback that could eventually take over for Trayvon Diggs if he can't stay fully healthy. Then you can work out a situation where you have all 3 of these cornerbacks in the field at the same time. That's the ideal situation. I know they traded for Kaiir Elam inside the nickel. Kaiir Elam is not a good cornerback in my opinion. He's had some up and down moments with the Buffalo Bills. He's not coming off a strong year last year. But you do have Kalen Carson. And I know you may laugh at me and say Kalen Carson is not a good starting corner. He's not supposed to be a starting corner. He's a very good bench guy. He's a very good depth piece to have. So their secondary is deeper. I just worry about the injuries with them long term. The safety position, I think they're solid there as well, especially with Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson had a very good year last year, and he's only 30 years old. And you have Malik Hooker, who was solid last year as well. The one thing with the Cowboys, have to just go out there and stop the run. And then your secondary, you want that quarterback to throw the football and that man coverage, and the same with some of those zone coverages. But we'll see what Matt Eberflus can fully do with this defense. But priority number 1 should be able to go out there and stop the run on a consistent basis, especially in this division. And they're going to need better play out of Dak Prescott moving forward. But this offseason, I like everything that they've done, especially the George Pickens trade. I love the George Pickens trade. Forrest Schottenheimer. This is going to be his first, and this may be his only chance to be a successful head coach in the NFL. I said this earlier in the video. This is the one thing that does bother me with this offseason. You could have brought back Coach McCarthy. They let the contract run out. Jerry Jones was like, man, you know what? We'll go out there. We'll go with a guy we're comfortable with. We'll go with our offensive coordinator and Schottenheimer, even though he never called plays for us. The reason why I'm worried about this, he has been in the NFL for a very long time as an assistant. The same with him going out there and being a coordinator. He's been around for a while. And same with him being an analyst on the sideline. But he's never been viewed as a head coaching candidate before. He's had interviews in the past, but it never materialized anything. He first stepped into the scene in this football league in 1997. And this is the first time that he's getting a head coaching gig. Usually when you're a great offensive mind, when you're a top offensive mind, you're going to get multiple chances to go out there and become a head coach one day. Hopefully this does work out for him. His dad was a very successful coach in football, and I hope the same for him. But this is a tough division. In my opinion, they can contend in this division, especially with their schedule. They can win up to 10 to 12 games. But it's definitely going to come down to his coaching, and can he keep this locker room together? And priority number one for him is not even to worry about Dak Prescott. He's a leader. You don't have to worry about CeeDee Lamb. You need to worry about George Pickens. Keep him involved and keep him engaged. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Dallas Cowboys and their entire offseason. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.